Member of the Cincinnati Reds here at Great American Ballpark. Matt Harvey will get the ball. His third start for the Reds. And here's the lineup he'll be facing for the Pirates. 26 wins, 20 losses, 2 games off the pace in the National League Central behind the Milwaukee Brewers. Their lineup presented by Nissan. Cincinnati Kid, pride of Princeton High. Josh Harrison back off the DL. Polanco in right. Cervelli for the 4th straight game, batting in the number 3 spot. Josh Bell at first, Dickerson in left, and Colin Moran down at third. The latter third of Austin Meadows, Jordy Mercer the shortstop, and Jamison Tyone on the mound. Your impressions, Chris, of Matt Harvey his first 2 times out with the Reds?
Well, he's pitched 4 innings in each of these ball games. The one thing you're looking for, if you're looking for a bright spot, he finished very strong in his last start against the Giants. Struck out 5 of the last 6 batters he faced.
Strike 1 to Josh Harrison, says Laz Diaz, in this one underway. Harrison went 6 for 15 in that 4-game series a month ago against the Reds. That series at PNC Park. And he just came back off the disabled list. Missed 30 games with a broken left hand. And his first game back on Sunday went 3 for 4 with an RBI. Not only played high school baseball, as many of you know by now, at Princeton for the Vikings, but stayed right here to play collegiately for the University of Cincinnati Bearcats. Always his family in town to come down and watch him play. Still makes his home here during the offseason, or is here a great deal. 2-2 to count on Harrison.
Harrison's one of those unusual hitters, Tom, that has a little separation between his bottom hand and his top hand. Pirates are all about contact. They don't like to strike out. Harrison buys into that. A lot of hitters that'll have that grip where there's a little space between their hands will tell you that it slows your bat speed down a little bit, but it gives you a lot better control of the barrel of the bat. Not a lot of space for Harrison, but just a little bit.
Harrison now 30 years old. Swing and a pop up into foul ground out of play. He's been to the All-Star game twice. 2014, then again last year. And played for the United States last year in the World Baseball Classic.
Right now, Matt Harvey is doing nothing but pumping fastballs, and I expect him really to do that through this whole lineup, at least the first time through. Kind of what the strategy was for him last time when he got all the strikeouts in his 3rd and 4th inning in San Francisco. A lot of them were on breaking balls, but he didn't break that out until a little bit later.
Well, one thing we have certainly seen on this homestand through that Chicago Cubs series is a very trim strike zone. 3-2 pitch. And a number off the mound. Peraza is there next to the bag. 1 out. So a 9-pitch at bat for Harrison. We look at the Reds on defense, presented by Ford. Hamilton flanked by Duvall and Schebler. Suarez, Peraza, Jeanette Votto along the infield, and Tucker Barnhart hanging the signs for Matt Harvey. The last time we saw the Pirates, you couldn't get Gregory Polanco out. In that 4-game series, he had a double, 2 home runs, and knocked in 7 runs in the 4 games. And he was off and rolling. But mighty, the fall has been since then. The numbers from a power standpoint are not bad at all. 8 home runs, 22 runs batted in, but that batting average all the way down in the low 220s. So much of this Pirates season, many believe, when it began with Andrew McCutchen being traded, of course, to the Giants, how well the duo of Marte and Polanco would play.
Well, the problem, though, is Polanco's still a young guy, and for me, he still has a long swing. He batted 177 in the month of April, 100 points higher here in May. But when he centers it up, he hits it as hard as anybody around.
Case in point on that bullet into right field.
Just another little four-seam fastball. Harvey will throw really 100% four-seamers. He doesn't believe in throwing sinking fastballs. His fastball best location is up in the zone, normally away from the hitter unless you're trying to come off the plate to jam him.
I think a lot of us were quite surprised when we saw the lineup card today that Francisco Cervelli, most of the years we've seen him bat 6th, 7th, and now he's batted 3rd in each of the last 4 games, including tonight. But having a good year. Healthy again, 25 runs batted in so far. Remember, with all the injuries, he knocked in a total of 31 all of last year. In fact, it was about 9 days ago they actually had Cervelli bat leadoff for the first time in his career.
Well, it kind of shows you also what they're trying to do here in Pittsburgh with the absence of Starling Marte. I mean, this isn't the kind of lineup that's just going to sit back and try to wear you out with 3-run bombs. And he's one of the leading line drive hitters in the league this year. Cervelli is. I mean, there's so many different ways to rate hitters. You know, you can go by batting average, you can go by on base percentage, you can combine the two, you can talk about WAR. And you can also talk about what happens when he puts the bat on the ball. I mean, how much of this contact is hard contact, how much is medium, how much is soft. He's one of these guys that hits the ball hard.
And he's drawn a walk. That on base percentage is right at 400 for Cervelli so far this year. You know, the one thing about this Pirate team, they will score runs. Like Chris said, they may not bludgeon you with a home run ball. They're roughly in the middle of the pack in the National League. But in total runs scored, they ranked number 3. Only the Atlanta Braves and the Chicago Cubs, and we just saw them over the weekend, and we know they can hit. They're the only 2 teams in the league that have scored more runs so far this year than the Pirates.
You know, the interesting thing about that, Tom, those are also the 2 teams that are next to the Pirates in the least number of team strikeouts in the National League this year. The Pirates have the least. The Atlanta Braves are in 2nd place. And then right behind them are the Chicago Cubs. So making contact must mean something.
Here's Josh Bell. He comes in red hot. 333 batter over the last 2 weeks. This month alone, he's knocked in 11 runs in 17 games. And he loves hitting in this ballpark. 11 hits in 30 career at bats. There are a lot of guys like hitting in this ballpark. Well, a Bucco fan brought his defense with him. How about that? Right next to his little man there. Now look at Mom. She's got on the Cincinnati stuff. But the son is wearing the Pittsburgh black and gold. What's wrong with that picture, Chris? I mean, look at that.
Wow. They live in different parts of the house.
There you see what Bell has done. We talked about how hot he has been here in the month of May after a slow start over the first month of this season. 2-2 with 2 on and 1 out.
Yeah, I don't know how any hitter, at least that was in the Central Division that didn't get away to the West or the South to play in the month of April, could ever get off to a good start. I mean, they can almost throw out the numbers for the month of April because, you know, the Pirates are much like the Reds. They were playing most of their games in temperatures that were in the 30s and 40s.
That goes flying down there, almost hit Jim Day into the camera well. Jim, you all right down there? I mean, that had to be scary. That bat was coming right at you.
All good. If it could miss this melon.
But take a look at this.
You do a play-by-play on this? That'd be dude ducking out of the way.
That'd be smart dude ducking out of the way. Were you protecting that young lady behind you? Is that what that's what you were doing, weren't you? The knight in shining armor?
That's exactly what I was doing, Tom. Thank you.
All right, pal.
Doing a man's duty, Pally.
Boy, there's some close pitches in these last two at-bats, and we brought up earlier over the weekend, it just seems to be the ever-shrinking strike zone in Major League Baseball these days. I don't know if that was a strike or not, but there were 2 or 3 in the course of that at-bat alone that were very, very close.
You know, Tom, I thought when you said that you were right on the button, and I'm glad you brought it up again because, you know, I don't know the secret to speeding games up and having guys put balls in play. But if you throw a ball with 2 strikes on the edge of the strike zone, and if it gets called a ball every time, where is there the incentive for the batter to actually come out of the on-deck circle, stand in the batter's box, and want to swing the bat? And you know what I really see that I think could make a difference is that umpires would call those marginal pitches earlier in the count strikes and send a message to the hitters that we got to swing the bat here tonight. This isn't a walkathon or an eye test. But that's really what it's become for so many umpiring crews.
Well, really, that's the way that the game has become. I mean, let's be honest about it. 35% of the at-bats in the month of April or in April, 35%, an all-time high, resulted in strikeout, walk, or home run.
First time the strikeouts exceeded hits.
That's right.
In the history of baseball. This guy can hit, though, right here. He's not up there to walk, I tell you that.
It's Corey Dickerson. What a first season he's having so far with the Pirates. Yep, first pitch swinging. And very shallow center field. They're not going to send Polanco on Hamilton here. There's just no way. That's a huge out for Matt Harvey. 2 away in the inning.
Yeah, Matt Harvey has a little extra hop on that fastball, and you stand in there thinking, well, I'm getting first pitch fastball. I don't blame Dickerson for swinging at that. I mean, he got his fastball. He was just a hair late on it, got underneath it.
One more big out to go, and it's been a solid start as well for Colin Moran. He came over in the Garrett Cole deal from the Astros. He was the centerpiece of that deal. 286 hitter, 3 home runs, 21 batted in, has 9 doubles. Good hitter. Strike 1. What a display he put on during that 4-game series when the Reds were in town. 7 of 13, knocked in 3, scored 4. Here with the bases loaded in the opening inning. Strike 2. Pirates have him loaded here in the first inning with 2 outs. It's a ball and 2 strikes. Harvey against Moran. And a pitch on the way. We'll do it again.
Moran was a #1 draft pick for the Marlins in 2013. He was the 6th player taken overall. Came from the University of North Carolina. That was when Carolina had a run there of a few years where they had some exceptional players. In fact, the 2014 #1 pick for the Reds came from UNC. That was Nick Howard. Excuse me, Howard was from Virginia.
1 ball and 2 strikes. Struck him out. Nice job by Harvey. Pitches out of the bases loaded. 1 out. Jam. But the bottom line is he does not surrender a run. Did a nice job pitching out of a bases loaded 1 out jam. So the Reds come to bat here in the bottom of the 1st inning. Their lineup presented by Nissan. It's Peraza, Barnhart, Votto to start it. Jeanette, Suarez, Shevler in the middle. Duvall, Harvey, and Hamilton the latter 3rd. And on the mound, through a complete game, 1-hit shutout to beat the Reds at the end of April is Jameson Taillon.
And really at that time, Tom, it was one of the best pitching performances we'd seen in probably a year because he was just dominant the entire game. In fact, had it not been for a base hit by the opposing pitcher, that was the Reds' Tyler Mahle, we might be talking about a no-hitter by Taillon that afternoon.
Jose Peraza, 1 ball and 1 strike, and of course that happened to be the same day that he also hit a Eugenio Suarez on the thumb, resulting in a fractured thumb for Suarez. But you brought up the fact that he had a thumbnail that was too long, and that thumbnail resulted in cutting his finger, and it's really set him back. It's only, what, his 2nd start since having to leave a game from that injury.
It's kind of funny because you hear of pitchers having blister issues, you know, and sometimes you get that blister, you know, where you push down on the tip of your middle finger and you push down so hard that the fingernail like buries into your skin and it just will not go away. Well, he actually would flick his finger with his thumbnail, and that caused his finger to bleed, and it just was the same spot, and over and over and over again it turned out to be a laceration that he had to come out of a ball game in which he was throwing the ball very well. Now Schinberger.
Jose Peraza taking on Jameson Taillon today, brought to you by AARP, and good success for Mr. Peraza.
He just needs a couple of minutes. You know, he doesn't want to get back in the batter's box. I mean, the last thing you're thinking about right here is, you know, trying to hit the ball. You're just trying to hit the ball away from your front leg. Really mean pitchers bury one down and in again on them.
Well, they're going away from Peraza, and that's strike 3 called on the outside corner. Now Tucker Barnhart batting in the number 2 hole here tonight. Well, Jim Day, of course, he is all over that Reds clubhouse. I mean, whether it's stopping by, you know, to check in regularly with Joey Votto or Scooter Gennett or some of the others. But Jim, I understand you were down there today when Tucker Barnhart took a look at that lineup card and saw himself in the number 2 spot.
Yeah, the first thing he said he wanted to do is he went into manager Jim Riggleman's office and said, "Are you okay? Are you feeling okay?" That's part of the reason why he's in the 2 spot, what he just showed right there. One, he's earned his way up. And with Winker not in the lineup tonight, Jim Riggleman started talking about, you know, him taking a lot of pitches, drawing more walks this year. He's one of the best bunters, if not the best bunter on the team. If you need a bunter to move the runner over, besides the lack of speed, his game can play in the 2 spot.
Well, on base percentage is at .350 now, and that's a 1-out single for Barnhart that'll bring Jim's guy, Joey Votto, up to the plate. .283 batter, 6 homers, 6 doubles, 24 runs batted in for Votto.
Yeah, I would think that there would be a fight every day among Reds hitters as to who can bat in the number 2 spot, because Joey Votto is almost always, and he's had one exception there, I think, in San Francisco where he batted cleanup, but he's almost always in the number 3 spot. And as a pitcher, you're looking at the lineup and you're thinking, you know, there's one guy in his lineup I am not going to allow to beat me. And on the Reds, it's Joey Votto. So you pitch tougher to those guys ahead of him, meaning that you throw strikes. You don't walk a guy ahead of Votto. So this is the complete opposite of what Tucker Barnhart normally gets when he bats in the traditional worst spot in the lineup, which is number 8.
Nothing in 1 on Votto. And now no balls, 2 strikes.
Well, Votto gives you the impression when he gets that far up on the plate and he's right on the dish and he kind of gets into that crouch. I mean, you're standing in there on the pitcher's mound, you're looking at him, and it looks like his elbow, his right elbow, is actually in the strike zone. I mean, it's all about plate coverage right here, even though he's choking up way on the bat.
Wow, that is a power fastball there on the inside corner. Votto thought it was too far in. That might be the loudest pop of a catcher's mitt I have heard in this ballpark.
Might be one of the best fastballs I've seen all year long when you combine, you know, the location, the situation, the hitter, the movement, and the effect it had on one of the best hitters in the game. And of course, if you can pop the mitt like that, I'd have that as my ringtone.
So the inning continues for Scooter Gennett. He's been the hottest Red of them all here in the month of May, and they start him with a breaking ball. .318 batting average, 11 doubles, 7 home runs, 27 runs batted in for Gennett. Barnhart, the runner at first with 2 away. It's 2 balls and no strikes to Scooter. Got a fastball and Tyone beat him with it. Fouled out of play, 2 balls and a strike. Beautiful breaking ball to even a count of 2 balls, 2 strikes from Tyone. He had to leave that game we talked about. Did Tyone 2 starts ago. That was against San Francisco. He was shutting him out on 1 hit through 3 innings, had to leave the game, then came back his last start against the White Sox during interleague play. Pitched into the 6th, allowed 5 hits and a couple of runs. A ball in the air to right center field, and it's going to go all the way to the wall. On his way to third and rounding third is Barnhart. And the Reds have a 1-0 lead on a 2-out RBI double by Scooter.
Well, Gregory Polanco saying out there to his center fielder, I didn't see it, and he took a horrible route to this ball. Watch Polanco. He's way up here in the right part of your screen. And he starts coming in, and then he starts going back out. I mean, I'm not sure if he would have gotten it anyway. Probably would have. Tyone's got to be wondering, like, what's going on out there? Looked like a lazy fly ball with 2 outs and a man on base. It ends up being a run-scoring double.
Strike 1 on Eugenio Suarez. So the first time these two have squared off against one another since that pitch from Tyone hit Suarez in the thumb and broke it. Strike 2. It was very cold that day, extremely cold. And you knew it was trouble right away.
You know, Tyone is very much like Matt Harvey in this early part of the ball game. He's got a very good breaking ball. Harvey's got a great slider. Didn't throw very many at all in that first inning. Tyone has stayed away from that big overhand curveball that is basically his calling card.
1-2 the count.
There it is now.
Sweeps away. Yep. Now the count even to Suarez with Jeanette in scoring position. So no complete game shutout on this night for the Pirate right-hander. Tyone ready, and now the 2-2 delivery on the way. Breaking ball hit down the left field line. This will bring in another run. Jeanette comes in to score, so Suarez takes that to Tyone in a 2-0 Cincinnati lead.
I thought this was a bad pitch sequence for Tyone because the pitch before he threw a breaking ball in the dirt. And even though it was in the dirt, it had really good break on it, but it showed Suarez the break, the release point, the speed of the pitch, and he comes right back with one. He hangs right down the center of the dish, and Suarez does what he does.
Ray Searage, pitching coach under Clint Hurdle, long time. Highly thought of, highly regarded.
I played a little minor league ball with Ray way back in the day. He's always been a thinking man's pitcher. Former left-hander, not an overpowering pitcher, but he learned how to pitch. And I would think right now that he's giving Tyon a little bit of a pep talk. You know, try to forget about that play that happened in right center field with his right fielder Polanco not picking that ball up, and worry about getting out of this inning.
I just. One and oh, the count on Schebler. Back-to-back two-out run-scoring doubles. One ball and two strikes on Schebler. And we'll do it again.
Little protection swing right here. Looks like he's been watching Joey Votto video.
One-two delivery. Swinging a foul ball back out of play. On swinging a Schebler, and that'll end the inning. So the Reds get a pair in the first inning. And at the end of one, a 2-0 lead.
American ballpark, 10 games, and even though the numbers are similar, the Reds were able to gut it out and win 7 of the 10 games played here. Look at the ERA and the average, very, very similar, but it was the Reds getting the key hits, if you will.
All right, Jimbo, thank you very much. It has turned into just a wonderful weather night here in Cincinnati. It was a beautiful day here today. I mean, nice breeze, temperatures in the low 80s, and then that rain came down. I don't think it's rained that hard here in Cincinnati this entire spring, and we've had plenty of rain, but man, oh man, did it rain for about a half hour, 40 minutes, and there was so much standing water on the warning track behind the plate and in the outfield. They had to wait an hour even after it had started to start this game after it had stopped. There's a fly ball into center field by Austin Meadows, their big prospect who just brought up to the major leagues over the weekend. He's retired by Harvey to begin the second inning. Harvey threw a pile of pitches in that first inning, over 30. May remember when the Reds were out west and Harvey made his Reds debut, he threw 55 pitches total in 4 innings, and the Reds got him out of there. 32 of the 55 were strikes. Threw more than that number in a very short stint, giving up the 3 runs, and he was hit hard in that game. Threw 77 pitches against the Giants, allowed 7 hits but only 3 runs. And he's 1-1 on Jordy Mercer.
Here's another guy that the Reds simply could not get out during that series in Pittsburgh. And he's always been down at the bottom of the order. He's always been known as being kind of a defensive first shortstop. Very steady player. But is hitting .467 against the Reds so far in 17 plate appearances this year.
Yeah, and 4 of those hits are doubles.
Well, I think that Harvey's trying to expose the weakness on Mercer, which is chasing the high fastball. Or take the perfect pitch, which is about as good as you can throw it right there. Now look at the little grouping down here for Matt Harvey. I mean, when you can control the upper and in part of the zone, pitch number 4 was up. And the one right after that comes for a strikeout on the edge.
So looking for a quick 1-2-3 second inning is Harvey. First 2 retired, and he faces a pitcher. And ahead 0-2.
He's kind of backing out of there, isn't he?
Well, he's 2 for 13. He has a double and a couple of runs batted in.
Watch his feet.
It's making a left turn.
Little stutter step. What's the old saying? Your heart's in it, but your body's not.
Mm-hmm. Got him swinging, and that'll retire the side. So 1-2-3 go the Pirates. We go to the bottom of the second, and the Reds with a 2-0 lead. Chevy dealer by Skyline Chili. Feeling good. It's Skyline time. And step up to GMC with nearly $4,000 purchase cash on an Acadia Denali when you finance through GM Financial. Well, with 2 runs in the first inning, the Reds are far ahead of the curve from that 4-game series earlier this year in Pittsburgh. Lowe's whole team together. The Pirates starters in that series. Take a look. Broughton 1 run in 5. Williams a 5 1/3 2. Poole 5 innings 2. And Tyone the complete game 1-hit shutout. So already 2 against Tyone in the opening inning here tonight. Ladder third in the batting order. Duvall, the pitcher Harvey, then the number 9 hitter Billy Hamilton. Adam down a strike. Indians all over the Cubs. That game is in the bottom of the 4th inning in Chicago, and the Indians lead 7-0. Brewers sit atop the division, scoreless against Arizona. They beat the Diamondbacks in the series opener last night. And the Cardinals an early 1-0 lead over their in-state rivals from Kansas City. Short center, who wants it? And Meadows comes in and makes a play. 1 gone.
That's Trevor Bauer on the mound for the Indians tonight. Through 4 innings, has not given up a run. And Tyler Chatwood, 2 2/3. He's out of there after having 6 walks and 4 runs. Boy,
he's been pretty good for them before tonight. But one thing we know about Trevor Bauer, if nothing else, if we don't know anything else in the world, that he went to UCLA, he's a former #1 pick, he was a Diamondback, he ended up going to the Indians, he's got his quirks, he's got all kinds of things going on that we may not know everything about. But one thing we learned last year during the playoffs is he is not a slave to results.
You love that saying. In fact, I think you used that a few times in your football season, did you not?
Well, I didn't. My partner did.
Okay.
Because he is a Cleveland Indians fan, and when he saw that comment made by Trevor Bauer after losing Game 4 of the division series last year and said he's not a slave to results, I thought Chris Spielman would go try and find Trevor Bauer.
Well, the results determine whether you're popping the champagne or whether you're driving home crying.
Precisely. Harrison will throw out the pitcher Harvey. Pirates on defense, presented by Ford. Getting our first look at Meadows here in 2018. Flanked by Dickerson and Polanco. Marte is due back in a little more than a week. Billy Hamilton, a 203 batter. Slaps it into left field, a base hit.
God, how beautiful is that swing? I mean, we've been waiting for Billy Hamilton to do that really since day 1. I mean, from the very first part of the at-bat, just slap the ball. Got his foot down in plenty of time, kept his hands back, tried to get that ball on the ground. And there's one hitter in baseball that, you know, should never buy into the launch angle elevation approach. Because his launch angle is when he's on the base pass.
Countdown is on after looking at that lead. And he's not going to have a chance to run because Peraza swings at the first pitch in the at bat and pops up to the left fielder and makes a nice play, the right fielder, in front of the stands. 1 hit, 1 left. We move to the 3rd. Reds lead the Pirates 2-0. home, in the office, or on the go with MLB.tv. Visit MLB.tv for details. We're at Great American Ballpark. We were about an hour and 5 minutes delayed getting started tonight due to rain. The Reds get 2 runs in the bottom of the first inning, and that's our count as the Pirates come to bat with the top of the order against Matt Harvey here in the third. Pirates loaded the bases against Harvey in the first inning with 1 out. Single, back-to-back walks. But Harvey got Dickerson on a pop-up in a short center and struck out Colin Moran to end the inning, leaving them loaded. Here's Harrison. He had a 9-pitch at bat, leading off the Pittsburgh first inning and leading off this game before grounding out to the shortstop Peraza. Hit very hard, but Hamilton is there to get it.
Josh Harrison takes some really healthy cuts on pitches that are up in the zone. I've never thought that it's been a good spot to try to get him out, and he levels on one right there, but Billy is there.
Polanco hit the ball right on the screws his first time up, a loud single into right field. And so far, that is the only Pittsburgh hit against Harvey. Harvey in his career has made 5 starts against the Pirates. He made 2 of them last year. His first one was very good. That was at the end of May. 6 innings, gave up 1 run. But then he saw him again at Citi Field and gave up 6 earned runs in just 5 innings. So he beat him once and a no decision in the other. But those are the career numbers for Harvey. I mean, you got to go way back. The first 3 starts really mean nothing at this point because that's when Harvey was much younger, much healthier before the injuries, both to his elbow and his shoulder. Short left field. Duvall is there to make a nice running catch for the second out. And now a quick message from Miami Valley Gaming.
Get ready to get lucky.
So since a 1-out single followed by consecutive walks, Harvey's retired 7 in a row. Cervelli, one of those walks in the first inning. And we've seen Cervelli so many times in the past. He is the epitome of the human rain delay and getting in and out of that batter's box. 1 ball and 1 strike.
Well, they've got the rules about that, of course, and he's not permitted, for instance, in this circumstance, to leave the batter's box. But what he'll do is he'll push that envelope to the very edge. He'll put 1 foot in the box, 1 foot out. Actually, that back in the box pretty quickly here.
Yeah, that time.
Pretty good looking pitch there from Harvey. A little changeup with some really good downward break.
Slow tapper. Harvey can't get it. Suarez does. Throws on the run, but Cervelli able to beat it out for an infield hit. That'll keep the inning alive for Bell, who walked his first time up. Hello there. Got the Reds gear on, looking good tonight. She's got her bow tie.
She certainly does.
In her hair, a bow tie Tuesday hair clip. There's another one. Look at those curls. Oh, man. That's the way our little girl used to have them. Still does. More now than ever. Right at Peraza. He'll take it himself, and that's all for the Bucks here in the third. A hit, a man left. Reds 2, Pirates nothing.
Louisville, Rosell Herrera and Brandon Dixon talked about when he was told.
I finished the inning at third base playing in the field, and Schofield after the inning came up and was like, hey, you got to run that ball out. And I was like, okay, I mean, I thought it was a foul ball, so. And he was like, no, you got somewhere else to be. You're going to Cincinnati. So everyone came up and hugged me and stuff, so it was pretty awesome.
Yeah, he thought he was in trouble. He said he came off the field and Schofield had a really mean look on his face, and he told him, you got to run that ball out. And he held on as long as he could, and then finally Schofield broke into a smile and said, no, you're going to Cincinnati for your major league debut. Brandon Dixon, a couple of nice spring trainings back to back, and he was in the sentence to make the club out of spring training, hitting about .326 at AAA Louisville, so he will have some pop added to the bench.
Yeah, you may remember Dixon came over in that deal along with Jose Peraza and Scott Schebler. That was in the 3-team trade involving Todd Frazier going to the White Sox. So the last 2 years he spent in the Reds organization, in 16 at Double-A Pensacola, hit 16 home runs, knocked in 65. And then last year, 16 home runs, knocked in 64 at Louisville. And you see great numbers so far this year for the Bats. Boy, did he look good in spring training this year. Really good. Tucker Barnhart chasing that pitch down in the dirt. He's gone on strikes. That's 4 of them in the game for Tyone. Reds lead 2-0 here in the bottom of the third with Joey Votto coming up.
What you're seeing now are both of these pitchers beginning to go and using all their pitches in their repertoire. First time through, almost all fastballs. Harvey was the same way in the top of the inning. Mixing in a changeup and the slider. This time, Taillon just drops that little breaking ball in there.
Popped up to the third baseman Moran, and Joey Votto retired on 1 pitch. 2 away in the inning. Not an easy play for the young third baseman, but well done. Scooter Gennett, a run scoring double into right center field, his first time up. Pulled foul. Still a ball and 2 strikes on Gennett. Tonight is Tyone's 9th career start, even though he's a young pitcher, hadn't been around a long time. His prior 8 career starts, 2-2 against the Reds, the ERA at 4.2. That ERA came way down on that complete game 1-hit shutout back on the 8th of April this year, because the Reds had knocked him around pretty good. He has a 1-2-3 inning. Big night at the ballpark. And the Reds out to a 2-0 lead. Manfred, one of our Bark in the Parks presented by Rachel Ray Nutrish and Kroger. You can arrive early. We have all the pet activity samples in the Kroger fan zone, a pregame parade around the field. Log on to reds.com/dog. It's always one of the, I think we have 4 or 5 of them, but we've already had one, and it's always a extraordinary popular event. Those tickets go quick. So if you're thinking about doing it, buy them sooner rather than later. Pirates bat against Matt Harvey here in the top of the 4th inning. 2 runs, 4 hits for the Reds. No runs, 2 hits for the Pirates. It's out in front of the plate. Tucker will call off Harvey and make a good strong throw in time to cut down Dickerson, and that's the way things start for the Bucks here in the 4th.
Dickerson's not sure if that ball is going to stay fair or not, but it really doesn't matter. Barnhart takes 1 step to his left to create a good throwing lane down there to Votto.
Well, Dickerson and Moran were 2 huge outs in that first inning after the Pirates had loaded the bases on a single and a couple of walks by Harvey after retiring Harrison to begin the game. He got Dickerson on the first pitch of the at-bat to pop up into very shallow center. Runners had to stay put. And then he struck Moran out.
I get thinking about that play right there, Tom. That's kind of in the right out in front of home plate on the very first base side of the diamond. I mean, if the batter is out by that much, he has got nothing to lose by trying to maybe get in the way of the throw from the catcher. So why not run in fair territory? Maybe that one is whacked.
Well, one Tar Heel just got another. Colin Moran, a University of North Carolina Tar Heel. So too Harvey. Harvey got him the first time, Moran the second. 2-1 game. And you can talk about whatever ballpark you want to talk about pitching in on that swing. That's a home run just about anywhere except for maybe San Diego.
Harvey did the elevation and Moran laid the bat head to it. That ball was up in his eyes. And that's a little interesting little swing there for Moran. I'm sure there are a lot of people writing that down. Advanced scouts everywhere making a note of that. Moran is one of those hitters that has a very flat approach with his bat. I mean, it's already on plane. You don't see too many left-handers like that.
And apparently that fan who caught that ball out there wanted nothing to do with that, with the visiting player hitting a home run. Look at the left-hander cutting it loose. Not bad. And on the receiving end, Billy.
So what'd Billy do with it?
That's a good question. I bet you he flipped it up there to somebody else. One ball and 2 strikes. A count on Austin Meadows, just brought up over the weekend when Marte went down. And that's strike 3 called on the outside corner. He's 0 for 2, and that's 4 strikeouts for Matt Harvey. Coming up later on, we'll have our Whole True Moment presented by Miller Lite. Harvey throwing the ball well so far here tonight.
Extremely well. That first inning was one of those things where he really had to bear down a little bit, but he showed no signs of panic. He just kind of stayed with the program pitch by pitch and wiggled out of a bases loaded 1-out jam. Boy, he threw some pitches in that inning that were right on the edge, and they went against him. Cervelli walked, Bell walked. But ever since that time, it seems like those marginal pitches are now going in favor of the pitchers. Both of them, not just Harvey, but also Tyone.
In the air to Duvall in left field, and that'll do it for the Pirates in the fourth. They get the solo home run by Moran to cut the Reds' lead in half, 2-1 game. Cincinnati Children's changing the outcome together. And by your local Ford dealer, Ford. Go further. Well, tomorrow it's an all-new Reds Weekly, a grand opening like no other for Bernie Stowe Field over the weekend. Get to know Jesse Winker. Plus, couples share their love of baseball at Reds Fantasy Camp. Reds Weekly presented by Miami Valley Gaming. A new episode tomorrow at 6. Jeff Pecoro, Doug Flynn, Jim Day and company. I got to believe that's I would imagine that'll be a fun piece with Jesse Winker. Young man got a lot of personality about him. Loves to laugh, have a little fun. Jim Day's reported on that numerous times already this year. And looped into left center field. Another base hit by Suarez, and it splits the defenders. Well, his Pirate outfield appears to be having a really rough time either seeing the ball or gauging the ball. That ball was by no means ripped into left center field. And you kind of saw the center fielder maybe saying it as though that ball skipped on him.
Well, it certainly is wet. You can figure that out. And he was hit pretty well, although, you know, like you say, not a laser beam into the gap. It looked like Meadows had that thing under control. All of a sudden, he sees that ball take off on him. You heard of a sneaky fastball? That's a sneaky gapper.
Suarez had come into this game hitless in his prior 9 at-bats, and he has a pair of doubles against a guy that broke his thumb the last time they faced one another. Now Shevlin dumps it foul and out of play.
Yeah, this is where Shevlin, even with the Reds up by a run right here in a 2-1 score, you still got to work to try to get that runner over to third base. Make it easy on the next guy, Adam Duvall, to drive him in with a sacrifice fly. Of course, Tyone will do his best to keep him, allowing him to do that. Probably pitch him outside. Nope, they're going to come right in there on him.
And he pops it up, and that's over the screen and out of play. 0-2 on Shubler. Leadoff double by Suarez. Blew him away on the high gas, and that's 5 strikeouts for Taillon.
Well, he's got pretty good command tonight of that fastball on the inner part of the plate to left-handers. That's a really big strikeout. Because now you've got Adam Duvall. It's going to take a base hit to score the run, and behind him is Matt Harvey, the pitcher. When Jamison Taillon was drafted in 2010 by the Pittsburgh Pirates, they were choosing second that year. And Taillon was easily the best high school pitcher in the entire country. In fact, some people thought that he was the best high school pitching prospect since Josh Beckett. And that put him in rarefied air. Who went first in that draft? An 18-year-old who was already in junior college, Bryce Harper.
It turned out to be a pretty good pick.
Well, a pretty good draft overall. The 3rd pick was Manny Machado. Matt Harvey was the 7th pick by the Mets that year. Delano DeShields went in the 8th spot. Reds picked up Yasmani Grandal.
There all of a sudden, the last day or two, a lot of rumors floating around about Manny Machado to the Chicago Cubs. Big story in the Chicago papers asking Addison Russell about the deal, because Machado apparently, if he comes to the Cubs, is coming to play shortstop. And Addison Russell said, hey, look, there's nothing I can do about it. He said, you know, I've been traded one time. I hope I'm not traded, but I'm not going to worry about it. Duvall out of there swinging, so after a leadoff double, Taillon comes up with strikeouts of Shubler and now Duvall, and he'll face the pitcher Matt Harvey. Well, that was a big strikeout, as you mentioned, Chris, of Shubler. I mean, you got to wonder if they got him to third, would they have even pitched to Duvall? We'll never know the answer to that question with the pitcher batting in the 8th spot. But the bottom line is Suarez is still standing out there at second base. See if Harvey can get him in. 2 of 11 as a batter. 2 of 12 after the ground out his first time up tonight. Harvey was a great all-around athlete in high school. So was his father. In fact, they went to the same high school in Connecticut. His father would later coach him growing up. So rare you see much of that anymore, except at smaller high schools that need the athletes to play multiple sports. It seems like at the really, really big high schools now where, heck, you're lucky if you can make a team in one sport. You know, here in town, you go to a Moeller or a St. X. I mean, you'll find some that cross over, but it's become so, the pressure to get kids to really zero in on one sport so early has become just extraordinary.
And I think it's a shame, really, Tom,
No
because
doubt about
a
it.
lot of times, you know, the off season for those sports that once they make you choose is basically weightlifting or conditioning, or really you're not playing the sport, you're just preparing to play the sport. And meanwhile, you're missing another season of a sport that you could play and actually compete and enjoy.
Harvey gone on strikes, 3 strikeouts in a row after the leadoff double. Reds lead by a run.
is presented by authority of the Cincinnati Reds and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds.
Every Reds broadcast here on Fox Sports Ohio's Reds Live, the pregame edition, brought to you by Ray St. Clair Roofing. First look at the lineups, features, interviews, Tom's Tidbits, and more. Tomorrow night, 6:30 for Reds Live, and you'll see this pitching matchup in the latter two games of this series. Homer Bailey versus Chad Kuhl tomorrow, and the Reds had listed TBA for their starters on Thursday and Friday up through yesterday, but they have decided on Luis Castillo on Thursday. It was either Castillo or Romano, the two guys that pitched in the doubleheader on Saturday, and Jim Riggleman's reasoning is that Sal Romano will get Colorado on Friday night, and the ball is known to travel there. He's a sinker ball pitcher, and they can use some ground balls, so they decided on Romano for Friday.
Well, it makes sense. Of course, the Reds are looking for any kind of turnaround in Denver. You know, when we went to Los Angeles, we talked about the Reds had lost 9 games in a row at Dodger Stadium, and all the troubles they've had. Votto goes for that ball, and we've seen that. We've talked about that so many times. Now, granted, not a big deal that Tyone is the one running up the line, but that's a ball basically hit 2 steps to the left of Scooter Gennett, and the pitcher has to take the throw.
Well, they're having a conversation about it right there. Votto let it go, and Gennett picks it up. Of course, this is all fairly new because only in the last 5 or 6 years have we seen defenses where the first baseman is playing that far away from the bag. I mean, normally the first baseman used to be restricted by how far he could get to the bag and make sure he got back in time to get a throw from the infielder. Now, the pitcher's running over to first base almost every time a ball is hit on the right side.
You know, to finish that thought about Colorado, you go all the way back. Now listen to this. 2002. 2002. The Reds have only won 18 games and lost 34. That's their 4th lowest winning percentage of any current road ballpark, trailing only Cleveland, Philadelphia, and at St. Louis. The ball in the air, hit pretty well by Harrison, and leaping into the air and making a play is Schebler. Nicely done by Scott Schebler to take away extra bases from Harrison.
Now Harrison has now hit the ball hard twice. He lined to the center fielder his last time up, this time trying to go a little hoppage.
Meanwhile, this is Harvey's longest outing, and this is 3rd start as a Red. He went 4 in each of his first 2 in Los Angeles and San Francisco. So he's 2 outs into the 5th. And trying to retire Gregory Polanco, who singled and flied out to short left field. Harvey has thrown 1 more pitch than he threw in his 4 innings his last start against the Giants. You can rest assured a lot of his former teammates are checking him out once their game is completed here tonight. If Harvey's still in this game, the Mets are in the bottom of the 8th inning at home, and they trail the Marlins 5-1 tonight. Cubs are getting shellacked by the Indians. It is 10-0 Cleveland. One and two on Polanco. Got him swinging on a high fastball. To celebrate Bike Night at the ballpark, purchase the Bike Night ticket package and get an exclusive Reds and Harley-Davidson t-shirt and a ticket to the game. Plus, there's free motorcycle parking available outside the ballpark, and a portion of each package sold will benefit the Sonny Kim Fallen Officers Foundation. We remember that story. That was just an awful story. Purchase today at Reds.com/themes. If I remember right, that took place. They had the parade, or his funeral, through Madisonville. That was just a tragic story. And good for Harley-Davidson and the Reds for keeping that fund alive. Well, Matt Harvey's only given up 1 run and 3 hits. Taillon not too bad either. Billy drives one to straightaway center field. Meadows flags it down. If a Red hits a home run off that Toyota sign in right center tonight, Eunice Miller from Cincinnati will win that 100. Thanks to your Cincinnati and/or Northern Kentucky Toyota dealers. All right, Eunice, good luck. Top of the order now, Peraza, hitless in 2 at-bats. Struck out looking and popped up in foul ground down the right field line his last time up, ending the 2nd inning. Harvey pitching with a 1-run lead. Base hit center field by Peraza. His first hit in 3 at-bats tonight. He's a 1-out base runner for Tucker Barnhart.
Little flip swing there by Peraza, just trying to put the bat on the ball, which he does. He struck out in the 1st inning. He does not do that very often. He went down to just kind of protect that ball and serves it right up the middle.
That is Peraza's first hit on this homestand. He was hitless in his first 15 at-bats.
He had a very good month of April where he batted over 300. Here in the month of May, he's batting under 200. And he doesn't take a lot of walks. So the on-base percentage for Peraza, unfortunately for Jim Riggleman, is very much like that of Billy Hamilton. So when Peraza was riding it high in April, it was a no-brainer to leave him at the top of the lineup. But now that he has had some problems here and extended problems, you wonder if maybe Riggleman, who likes to juggle the lineup a little bit, maybe taking a look at something different. Peraza and Hamilton have each been on 1 time.
And then you throw in the other guy into the mix who got off to a very good start in April and has just struggled so mightily here in May, and that would be the guy who's seen a lot of time in a leadoff spot, yeah. Jesse Winker. High pop up, and that ball out of play.
They really expected that Jameson Taillon would be on the scene a lot earlier, given the fact that he signed in 2010. But he's had so many different problems along the way. He had Tommy John surgery in April of 2014. That cost him the 2014 season. Then a sports hernia cost him the 2015 season. Last year in May, he underwent surgery for testicular cancer. That's kept him out for nearly a month. So he's an easy guy to root for just by being able to come back over and over again and just kind of not be denied.
Runner goes, and it's fouled out of play. Well, there is very little doubt he has been blessed with one powerful right arm. It's obviously been surgically repaired, but he's got a lot of talent.
Oh, and he signed that signing bonus as a high school player. It was the second highest signing bonus in baseball history at the time. As an amateur free agent who's drafted, not an international free agent. Of course, that amateur draft coming up in just a couple of weeks now, June the 4th. Be the first day of that MLB amateur draft.
Runner not going this time. That is a fair ball down the right field line. Peraza on his way to third. They're going to hold him there on a double by Barnhart. Polanco got to that ball quickly and got it to Harrison, the cutoff man. A two-base hit by Tucker.
Yeah, Barnhart might like this spot in the order, hitting in front of Joey Votto. He's got a couple of knocks on the day. He came around to score in the first inning, the first run the Reds scored, and this one comes right inside the bag right there.
Joey Votto has been intentionally walked. It's the first walk issued.
You know, Tom, you used to tell a story about Mark Grace and the way he would play first base, and when he would come off the bag after holding a runner at first, he would shuffle his feet. And I was noticing Josh Bell kind of jumping off the bag right there, and he was kind of bouncing off the bag.
Right.
And I'm wondering if maybe that enabled him not to be able to get to that ball hit down the line by Barnhart. And I'm not, I mean, it was right over the bag, and it's one of those that's almost destined to be a double. But on those times when you're holding the runner at first base and you give up a ball like that, you think that's the only chance. Watch him come off the bag over here and see if he bounces or does he shuffle. He kind of shuffles a little bit. Just well placed by Tucker Barnhart.
Right there, loaded for Scooter Gennett with one out. High fly ball way back. Grand slam, Scooter.
Oh, this one off the bat from Scooter Gennett, an absolute no-doubter. Right from the crack of the bat, everybody in this ballpark knew that baby was out of here.
Of course, he hit 4 of them last year, a franchise record. And that is his 6th career grand slam. What a year he is having again.
Wow.
5 of his 6 have come as a Red, which places him in the top 10 all time, just outside the top 5 in Reds franchise history.
Well, that is just so much fun to see a grand slam. I mean, really.
And that takes 2-1 to 6-1. Two and two the count on Suarez, who has a pair of doubles, one to knock in a run. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Gennett now with 31 runs batted in. He's 2 behind Suarez for the team lead. I beg your pardon, he's knocked in 5 tonight, so he's tied with Suarez. And there's strike 3, and that will be the 2nd out of the inning. 8 strikeouts in the game now for Tyone. Schebler struck out swinging twice. No activity in the Reds bullpen. I mean, this game clearly is still belonging to Matt Harvey, who has just allowed the solo home run to Colin Moran back in the 4th inning. And 2 hits outside of that. Jam shot, pop up, caught by Harrison. But the big blow delivered by Scooter Gennett. With the bases loaded, he touches them all.
Dawson in a game which they intentionally walked him over and over again. Well, it was on this date, 1990. Set that MLB record with 5 intentional walks in a game versus the Reds. He went 1 for 3, and it was a 16-inning affair on this date in Reds history. Brought to you by Geico.
Remember it well. And Scooter Gennett will remember this May the 22nd, 2018 well. RBI double in the 1st inning, grand slam in the 5th.
Meanwhile, Matt Harvey's just kind of carving his way right through this Pittsburgh Pirates lineup. He's retired now, 7 of the last 8, 14 of the last 16.
Cervelli, the only Pirate to reach twice. He walked his first time up, then hit a little roller about 35 feet up the third base line that turned into an infield hit in the 3rd inning. Not to say that anybody can't hurt you up and down the lineup, but if Harvey can find a way to navigate through this 6th inning against 3, 4, 5, well, you certainly set yourself up to, get to the bottom part of the order as you moved into the 7th inning, and who knows? Harvey went 77 pitches his last time out. 85 so far here tonight. And that's a broken bat bouncer to Peraza. What have you liked about Harvey tonight, or what's not to like?
Well, what I really liked is him getting out of that jam in the 1st inning that he caused by walking a couple of batters and just didn't panic. Went after him pitch by pitch, got out of that, no runs at all. And he's used his fastball well. He's broken out that slider. It's been a good pitch for him. 5 strikeouts for Harvey. Here he is in the 6th inning. The only blemish, the home run by Colin Moran on a pitch that was in his eyes.
Straight up in the air on the first pitch to Josh Bell, so he retires Bell for the second time after an early walk. 2 down. So here in his first game as a home pitcher at Great American Ballpark, a real solid outing for Matt Harvey. The 88th pitch of the game coming up, and he'll be facing Dickerson, who was arguably one of the 2 biggest outs of this game for Matt Harvey. That was back in the first inning. Chris mentioned he allowed a 1-out single to Polanco. He walked Cervelli, he walked Bell to load him up with 1 out. And Dickerson's having a really good year. Dickerson looking for a fastball. He got a fastball on the first pitch and popped it straight up in the air to shallow center field. The runners could not tag. And then you saw the strikeout a minute ago of Moran. That's the way the first inning ended. Ever since then, he's been cruising outside of the home run by Moran with 1 out in the 4th inning. You know, for making a big deal, or at least some writers, national writers, making a big deal about Harvey coming to Cincinnati. Now look, it's 2012, it's 2015, but in his 2 prior starts in this ballpark, hard to beat those numbers. 14+ innings, 3 runs, a ton of punch outs, and very few walks. But I think even Harvey would agree that was a different Matt Harvey than the one now. He still believes, though, to quote him, that he still has that guy in him, and he thinks it's coming back.
Well, the Reds hope it comes back too.
I tell you, that is a really good pitch right there. No one's going to hit that pitch.
Just a simple 4-seam fastball, but it was all about placement. I mean, he gave Dickerson really no negotiating room at all to try to get the barrel on it. Just try to spoil it as the best that he could do. You know, Dickerson is a guy that I think he's taking a page out of the book of Joey Votto. I heard a long interview on the radio one day with Corey Dickerson, and he's gotten very scientific about his approach. But the thing that he's doing this year, and you can see them choking up with 2 strikes, that he's never choked up before. And it's almost like he's opened an entire new door to hitting.
Fly ball left field. And right through 3, 4, and 5 in the batting order for Harvey. 6 outstanding innings so far tonight for Matt Harvey. Stick around afterwards. We call it Reds Live, brought to you by Performance Kings Honda. And that'll be coming up after the game, of course, tonight. And the night is over for Matt Harvey. What a Cincinnati debut, meaning here in the city for the team that he pitches for now. 6 innings of 3-hit, 1-run baseball for Harvey. 93 pitches in the game. That number's gone from 55 to 77 to 93. Boy, was he good tonight. Retired the last, what, 8 batters he faced. 11 of 12. And if my calculations are correct, 18 of the last 20.
Well, I think the best thing, Tom, is that the overall health of the pitching staff gets a whole lot better when you put a guy in the starting rotation like Harvey. I mean, now you raise the bar of expectations a little bit more for everybody. I mean, the young pitchers are watching him. You know, the veteran pitcher on the staff, Homer Bailey, is watching him. I mean, nobody wants to be left behind. And I think that's what the best part of having a pitcher step up and do what Harvey did tonight.
Well, you see Harvey down there with a bat in hand and a helmet on. I mean, who knows? Maybe if they need to move a runner over with a bunt, maybe they send Harvey up there. Amira Garrett was throwing in the bullpen. Brandon Dixon is standing in the on-deck circle, and if he appears in this game, it will be his major league debut. 3-2 pitch. If you're wondering why we're only in the 6th inning at 10 o'clock, it's because we were an hour and 5 minutes late getting started tonight. Had a lot of rain here before the game. A ton. In fact, so much that the rain was over by about 10 after 7. But there was so much standing water on the field, they had to wait a full hour to be able to start the game. Mercer will throw out Duvall, and it will become official, it looks like. Brandon Dixon is going to make his major league debut. A moment this young man will remember for the rest of his life. Just sensational numbers at Louisville in 37 games, 16 runs, 12 doubles, 4 homers, 14 knocked in, and a .326 batter.
Yeah, that was just in case people thought that maybe he was a mirage during the month of March.
Swings at the first pitch he sees thrown his way in the major leagues. And it's a pop-up to the right fielder. So why wait around? Welcome to the big leagues, Brandon Dixon.
I always think that's great advice for a young player making his major league debut. Be aggressive and swing early. The last thing you want to do is get down, 2 strikes to a pitcher that you've never seen before.
So a 2 away, nobody on. Here's Billy Hamilton. He is single to left and lined out to center. Tyone's spot is due up 4th in the 7th inning. So you got to believe this is going to be it for him. Trailing 6-1. Broken bat 2-hopper. And Tyone finishes 6 innings of 6-run baseball here tonight.
when you served, we stand ready to serve all military families.
Well, don't miss Marvel Superhero Night at the ballpark. Cheer on your Cincinnati Reds. They take on the Cardinals. You can be here as low as $12. We have a fireworks show set to a superhero-themed soundtrack. That'll be performed live by the Cincinnati Pops. Thanks to Delta Airlines. For tickets, visit Reds.com. All right. Matt Harvey, 6 outstanding innings tonight. 3 hits, 1 run, walk 2, fan 5. And speaking of outstanding, I don't know if there's enough adjectives out there to describe the season of this young man, Amir Garrett.
That's why they have numbers instead of adjectives in baseball, and that earned run average gives you a pretty good idea of what he has done so far. If you want to go deeper, look at the strikeouts to the number of walks that Amir Garrett has had this year. He's a young man that has come such a long way in his pitching delivery from when the Reds originally drafted and signed him. I mean, he was basically a basketball player that pitched a little bit on the side, but his potential was so immense that the Reds stuck with him. It took a little bit of patience, and I think he's far yet from the finished product, but you're just beginning now to see what you may be able to get from Amir Garrett going down the road.
Hey, speaking of basketball players, we had one up here in our booth a minute ago. Vincent Edwards, young man who played at Middletown High School and went on to star collegiately at Purdue. Boy, is he a handsome kid. 6'8", was second team all Big Ten this year. Had a great year. Got hurt near the end of the year. They just had such bad luck. I mean, they were one of the top 5 teams in the country, ranked #1 for a long time. Vincent got hurt, a couple of different ankle injuries, and then their big fella got hurt in the tournament. But nice to meet him. Very nice young man, and your good friend and mine, Tim Parks, kind enough to bring him up here tonight.
And wish him a lot of luck in the upcoming NBA draft.
Absolutely. Well, I tell you now, they've had some athletes come out of Middletown. But I think the best of them all was Chris Carter. Oh, what an athlete. Hall of Famer. Of course, his brother Butch was pretty good too. Great basketball player, Butch Carter. Chris was a great basketball player too, but he went on to star, of course, in the NFL after playing at Ohio State. And if I'm not mistaken, Middletown is actually where Scooter Gennett was born, if I'm not mistaken. So it might be a Middletown kind of a night here. That ball's in the air to right, and that one will leave the ballpark off the bat of Austin Meadows, his second major league home run.
He gets out in front of this one. It's a breaking ball, and that's one of the dangers of hanging a breaking ball. Not even hanging it, but if you can get out in front of it and kind of hook those breaking pitches, even if they're breaking away from you. Meadows is able to do that and pick up a home run.
That makes it a 6-2 game. The Reds in front.
He's been one of their top prospects for a while. Has been beset by a number of different injuries. They've kind of set him back a little bit, but I think they like what they see of Austin Meadows. He's a former #1 draft pick, same that 2013 draft.
Well, you know, there's already a few whispers beginning around Pittsburgh with Polanco struggling so badly. And that batting average in a very low 220s, as we talked about, and Marte's coming back within the next probably a week, if not sooner than that. You know, would it be a situation where, you know, Marte was off to a good start this year. hitting over 300. Has 15 extra base hits.
So what are you saying?
Would Clint Hurdle consider sitting Polanco down if Meadows continues to sparkle?
You know, that's one of the questions that sometimes economics gets in the way of baseball sense. Because Gregory Polanco signed a long-term, very hefty contract that'll keep him a Pittsburgh Pirate at least through the year 2021. And they've got team options for a couple of years after that. He'll be 29 or 30 years old by the time that contract is finally up. So it's one of those things where, well, can I do what makes the most baseball sense? Or do I have to do something that doesn't embarrass the front office by playing a guy who's making no money over a guy that's making a ton of money? And it's not only the Pirates that run into that. There's every team in baseball that at one time or another runs into that same decision.
You know, that's the one danger, and nobody, please don't dare think that I'm suggesting this is what will happen, or that there's really any similarity outside of just the length of the contract for a young player. But when an organization makes a commitment like the Reds did, say, with Suarez, giving him a 7-year deal as a very, very young player, you know, the last thing in the world you want to do is judge it pro or con even a year into the deal. Because make no mistake about it, when Polanco first came to the big leagues now, I mean, you know, he had some pretty good looking numbers.
Oh, yeah.
In fact, quite similar to Suarez's numbers for a year ago. He had 22 home runs, knocked in 86 runs, had 34 doubles.
Well, I'm not really sure what the numbers inside the numbers say when you compare those two guys, but as far as liking one swing over another or one approach over another, I'll take Suarez 7 days of the week.
2-1. 2-2 on Sean Rodriguez. The other thing you have to love about Suarez, we don't know Polanco, but the thing you got to love about Suarez is the makeup, and that has a lot to do with whether you're going to give a guy a contract like that too as a young player.
I think Amir thought he had one right there and just missed the top of the zone. Count goes full. Rodriguez can hit a fastball. He's a pretty good off the bench player.
It's been a problem here lately for Amir Garrett. And it's only reared its head his last 2-3 outings. I mean, he's not allowed a run since the 1st of May. So, look, at the end of the day, are you going to complain about anything? But during this 8 consecutive scoreless appearance streak, he's walked 8 batters in 10 innings. And he's out of the game. This will be our Skyline Chili call to the bullpen. After some early rain, got this one started late. So a few control problems continuing for Amir Garrett. He's walked nearly a batter per inning during this 8-game stretch without allowing a run until tonight. That comes to an end, allowing the home run to Meadows. So now David Hernandez comes on to face Josh Harrison. Harrison has hit the ball very hard each of his last 2 times up with nothing to show for it. Overall 0 for 3. He had a 9-pitch at bat in the first inning. Hit a ground ball to the shortstop, but since then a line drive to center, sliding catch by Hamilton, a drive to the warning track in right, and a leaping grab made by Schebler in front of the wall. 0-2 on Josh Harrison, and a base hit into center field. They are going to hold the runner at third. And now all of a sudden the Pirates, who are down 6-1, get the home run by Meadows. Walk single, and a tying run comes to the plate here in the 7th inning.
Clearly a mistake pitch for David Hernandez right there. He was way ahead in the count of Josh Harrison. Had no balls and 2 strikes. Probably tried to just waste that fastball down and away, and it just came right back over the center of the plate. Harrison's been hitting it hard all night.
So here's Gregory Polanco. He singled to right field in the first inning, flied to left in the third, and struck out swinging in the 5th. Hernandez going to work. Fastball high. Right-handed hitters are hitting 115 against Hernandez, so that single by Harrison is rare. The lefties are hitting up above 300. Fouled straight back. Now, I'm not talking about a guy that's pitched a lot of baseball this year. Started the year, spent most of his season on the disabled list, but he's faced 23 left-handed batters. They have 7 hits. And this inning belongs to Hernandez once they made that move, bringing him on to face Harrison. Straight up in the air, infield fly rule in effect here. This will be the 2nd out of the inning. Got Polanco to chase up in the strike zone, and straight up into the air it goes for the out. One more big one to go. Cervelli coming up.
What a great pitch right there by David Hernandez. He missed in the same spot, or close to a spot, the very pitch before. But he went right back up and in, and Polanco just couldn't help himself. You know, Hernandez is one of these guys who just doesn't wow you with the radar gun readings, but 93 seems like it's 98 when he throws it. He's got great finish to his pitches.
Francisco Cervelli has walked, has an infield hit, and had a broken bat roller to the shortstop his last time up an inning ago. Bases loaded. Breaking ball and a beauty on a 1-0 pitch to even the count. Bases loaded. Reds lead 6-2. We're in the 7th. Breaking ball again right there.
Well, that's a prescription for Cervelli. He's a very good fastball hitter. And you lay it right on the corner with a little breaking ball right there and take your chances.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Hernandez v. Cervelli with the bases loaded. Came with a fastball just off the inside corner. Boy, that's a good pitch. That was right there. Two balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. And a ground ball to short. Hernandez. Boy, how good has he been? Pirates leave him loaded for the 2nd time tonight. On Instagram. All right, Mr. Welsh, this night started, you know, the first time we've seen Matt Harvey here at Great American Ballpark. There were a lot of the so-called experts said the guy can't pitch in this ballpark. It's a bad move. It's only 1 game, but he was mighty good tonight.
Well, maybe they're not Matt Harvey fans.
Maybe not.
And maybe they're guys that really don't know what pitching is all about. Harvey looked very healthy to me, and that's probably the biggest thing. He doesn't seem to have anything holding him back. His breaking ball was good, but I like the life he had on his fastball and the way he went systematically right after the hitters, especially in the 1st inning when the Pirates were able to load the bases on him and he got out of the jam with no problem. So they will now give way after Jamison Tyone. George Cantos, 8-year Major League veteran. Pirates picked him up off the waiver wire late last season from the San Francisco Giants.
He's had a nice career.
Yeah, he has.
Really nice career. I mean, he's not a household name by any stretch of the imagination outside of maybe San Francisco, where he logged a ton of games and a lot of very good innings.
Got some World Series rings.
Yes, he does.
I would imagine that, you know, Cantos is probably the David Hernandez version for the Pittsburgh Pirates. I mean, same type of guy, middle reliever, been around a while. He's got 8 years in the show. Never an all-star, but he's put up some really solid seasons.
That one hitting Peraza. Of course, that's been the MO between these two teams for a long time. Cantos is new to the party. But there was a 3-year stretch, a single season stretch, and then a 2nd year, a 3rd year, where the Reds and the Pirates broke an all-time record for most batters hit. in a season series for 1 year and then over a 3-year frame.
Well, that's the third batter that Contos has beamed this year, and he's only pitched 18 innings. Almost as many hit batters as walks. One way to keep your walks down.
So Reds batting here in the 7th inning after the Pirates leave the bases loaded in the 1st inning and in the 7th inning. There goes Peraza, and Cervelli can't find the handle, and that'll be a stolen base.
Had a good jump. That would have been really interesting to see how that play would have ended up had the Pirate catcher been able to hold on to the baseball. Looked like a pitch out, or at least a modified pitch out.
Cervelli this year has thrown out 7 runners attempting to steal against him. That is tied for the 2nd most among National League catchers. He's just a solid player, all-around player.
Oh, he is. Barnhart likes it up here in the 2nd spot, doesn't he?
Sure does.
People are going to, maybe Jim Day tomorrow when he talks to Tucker about the night he had tonight, we'll start talking about Jason Kendall. Remember the Pirate catcher?
Sure. And there's another one. They're going to hold Peraza at 3rd, and Tucker in that number 2 spot has a 3-hit night tonight. Single, a double, and another single, and 4 trips to the plate.
That's just a good looking bit of hitting right there by Tucker Barnhart.
Boy, you're right about Jim Day, though. I mean, he'll be on that set tonight. And he'll be the first guy down there in that Reds clubhouse the second they have that door open tomorrow afternoon.
I mean, Kendall was a catcher, of course, for a long time with the Pittsburgh Pirates, Oakland, and some other clubs. I mean, he was often used as a leadoff hitter, a number 2 hitter, a lot. Probably more at bats as a number 2 hitter in the lineup than anywhere else.
Well, he was a gamer, too.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, his father was as well, and played for a long time.
Good chance to get that run back. The Pirates scored the top of the 7th right here.
Well, you've got the guys you want up there. He ranks 3rd in the major leagues, Votto, hitting with runners in scoring position behind only Odubel Herrera and Freddie Freeman. An even .400 batting average in such situations.
That's a really shallow center field for Joey Votto. Austin Meadows is basically challenging the Reds' first baseman to poke one over his head.
Votto called out on strikes for the 2nd time tonight.
Now, he got called out on an inside fastball his first time, and this time looks like a breaking pitch. It just kind of hits the back door. not where Contos originally wanted it. You see the spin on it. It just kind of rolled up there. Cervelli catches, holds, and Votto sits.
Well, here's a man, Scooter Gennett, tonight. He's knocked in 5 of the 6 Reds runs. RBI double in the first inning and a grand slam. That came in the 5th. I mean, we talk about our Miller Lite hold true moment. I mean, what else would it be when you have a guy that hits a grand slam? Am I right or wrong?
I'll hoist to that.
So if you had a Miller High Life last night.
Yes, I did.
And in the shallow center, caught. Here comes a runner. Here comes a throw. It's offline. A 6 RBI night for Scooter Gennett.
Yeah, they're going to throw to third base to see if perhaps Peraza left early. He got down the line very quickly.
Boy,
Peraza
did he ever.
Joey Cora, who is the third base coach for the Pirates, is immediately signaling to the guys on the field, just go ahead and throw to third base. Now that they've already called timeout, they're going to have to do a more formal appeal.
You took the words right out of my mouth. I mean, golly, day did he get down the line. Are they going to?
Maybe they're not going to.
Yeah, I guess they're not.
Yes, they are.
Well, somebody needs to tell Moran.
Somebody needs to tell the third baseman to go over the bag, I guess.
I guess the pitcher could walk over there, right?
Yeah. And of course, Barnhart could steal second at the time.
Well, they're not going to appeal it.
Too late now.
Yep.
Find out when the catch is made versus when he leaves. Yep, I think he right on schedule.
Yep. He can really run.
Yeah.
I mean, we talk so much about Hamilton, and rightfully so, but Peraza can really run. One and two the count on Suarez. And he's out of there on strikes, and that will retire the side. But the Reds get another run. What a night for Scooter Gennett. 6 RBIs in the game. Great American Ballpark. He got the pop-up to Corey Dickerson. The runners had to stay put, then struck out Moran. And Harvey was off and running. He ends up going 6. He's in line to get his first win as a Red, thanks in large part to Scooter Gennett. The Reds have scored 7. He's knocked in 6. A double in the first, grand slam in the 5th, sac fly in the 7th. David Hernandez coming in for Amir Garrett with the bases loaded and 1 out, gets a pop-up and then a ground out to get out of the inning. It's been a good night all around for the Reds, both on the mound, in the field, and at the plate. A 7-2 lead, Pirates bat here in the 8th. Most of the action around the National League, a final. Indians blast the Cubs 10-1. The Brewers shut out Arizona 1-0. And Kansas City in the bottom of the 8th inning in St. Louis, a 3-1 lead over the Cardinals. So you're up to speed on what's happening in the Central. It's a good series tonight, Atlanta against Philadelphia. Braves beat the Phils 3-1 after Philadelphia won the opener in that series last night. So if the scores hold up, all the teams directly behind Milwaukee would lose ground to the Brewers. St. Louis would go to 2.5. Cubs would go to 3. Pirates would go to 3 back.
Except for the Reds.
Except for the Redlegs. So Hernandez still in there to begin this 8th inning. He'll face Bell, Dickerson, Moran. Although we'll see about that. They have Wandy Peralta down there getting loose just in case. And he just blows Bell away with a fastball. Ran in on his hands.
Well, two-seamer right there. We saw a really good look at the grip. He gets his fingers right across the horseshoe seams and runs that baby down there and throws it right by Bell.
First strikeout for David.
Made the comment last time Dickerson was up how much he was choking up. Check him out right now before he has any strikes on him at all. I mean, he's way down there to the bottom of the knob of the bat. But as the situation begins to dictate, you know, more on contact rather than on power, that's when he begins to inch up the bat handle a little bit.
One ball and 1 strike on Dickerson. Three-one the count. Peralta's pretty much shut it down. Had the leadoff man, Bell, who's a switch hitter, had reached, you know, at that point, maybe Jim Riggleman says, well, we're not even going to tinker around with this with 3 straight left-handed batters coming up. But once he retired the first batter, he's given Hernandez another batter. And we'll see what happens with the result of this at bat, because Peralta's ready. Fan down there made a nice play off the ricochet. Once more, 3-2 on Dickerson. Not choking up this time on a 2-strike count. He takes a walk, and here comes Jim Riggleman. That's what we figured. If a batter was going to reach in this inning, then he would go ahead and make the change. But an excellent job by Hernandez. Goes an inning, allows a hit, a walk, and a strikeout. No runs so far. And with a 7-2 lead in the 8th inning, Wandy Peralta will be part of a double switch. Scooter Gennett going to lead the game. Drives in 6 runs tonight. What a night for Scooter. Fans through the gates, and you'll receive a Scooter Gennett bobblehead. Boy, that's hot right now. It's presented by Dynegy Energy Services. See your Reds take on the Cardinals. Low as $12. Visit Reds.com for tickets. Most by a Red since his 10 RBI game back on June the 6th of 2017. The 6 knocked in for Scooter tonight. And now taking over on the mound to face a left-handed batting Colin Moran is the left-hander Wandy Peralta.
I can't get over that home run ball where the pitch was that Colin Moran hit off of Matt Harvey. I mean, that is the most out of the zone home run I've seen in a long time.
I'm sure Matt Harvey can't believe it.
Yeah, I mean, you can't even get upset. I mean, if you hang a breaking ball right down the middle, a guy hits a home run, you're angry. You're angry at yourself. But when a guy takes one at the top of the bill of the cap and launches, you're scratching your head. Here's what we're talking about.
Those are the pitches you only normally hit in wiffle ball.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Those are the pitches that if you head out to the amateur baseball parks around the city this Saturday, you'll see that pitch being hacked at by everybody on your team. And the coach will always say, make them bring it down.
That's exactly right. Make them bring it down.
And they'll say, well, what about Colin Moran?
Well, that's when the coach is tied up.
Oh, no, that's when the coach brings out the spreadsheet. Says, hey, you want the percentage of hard hit balls right here. He wants your WOBA to
Oh my
to get up
God.
there a little bit.
Oh
You need
my
to
God.
follow this right here.
You gotta be kidding.
I hope you've gotten there so far in your team. You don't want to be left behind.
We weren't left behind. Except when it was money time. Maybe that was a problem once we got in the city semis. We didn't have enough spreadsheets. 3-2 to count. That had a funny sound to it, didn't it?
Yeah.
That had a really funny sound.
Like
to
almost
it.
a broken bat
Yeah.
sound.
Or end of the bat, something. But I tell you, it still had some zing on it.
Right on the end of the bat, you're right.
Tell you what, the more you watch out Moran, he's got a nice smooth swing. Good approach up there at the plate. I mean, he came in having a good year so far this year. You know, he wasn't playing every single day, and they still give David Freese some playing time down at third base, swinging a foul ball out of play. So for Moran to have, what now, 4 home runs, 9 doubles, 21 batted in, nearly a .290 batter. It's not too shabby.
Well, he's only 25.
His first year in the National League.
And he came over from the Houston Astros in that Garrett Cole deal. So he's highly thought of, obviously.
Told you earlier, another in a long list of players that come out of the University of North Carolina. They're so well known, of course, for their basketball program, but they've had a lot of really good baseball players, including the guy who's in line for a win tonight, Matt Harvey. Reds are 3 outs away.
First pitch of his second major league at bat, home run. Today he followed up with a single and 3 walks, including scoring the game-winning run after walking in the 9th. What a debut. And let me say it again, 19 years of age. On the Reds minor leagues, Tyler Mondial named Midwest League Pitcher of the Week. Congratulations to him. Shed Long, we saw him in big league camp in the spring, named to the MLB Pipeline Team of the Week, hitting at a .381 clip this last week.
But Shed Long's a nice kid. He went on the Caravan with us last couple of years. Scott Schebler to lead things off. Here's another young man they were expecting big things out of. Glasnow in their starting rotation hadn't played out that way.
No, that has not played out that way. He was a 5th round pick 2011.
Contos gives up a run in his only inning. A hit, hits a batter. Strikes out 2. Matt Harvey, the pitching story for the Reds tonight. 6 innings of 3-hit, 1-run baseball. Schebler 0 for 4 tonight.
Get $5,500 purchase allowance on most Buick Envision models.
Adam Duvall is 0 for 3. The 2 big stars tonight for the Redlegs, there is very little doubt. I mean, there are other guys that had good games. Peraza got on twice, scored twice. Tucker Barnhart, his first game in the number 2 spot, 3 hits, 2 runs scored. Suarez, a couple of doubles, but the big stories tonight. Scooter Gennett, 2 hits, 6 runs batted in, giving him a tie for the team lead in that category with Suarez, each with 33. And the other big story, Matt Harvey. This will be his first win as a Cincinnati Red if they can pick up the final 3 outs in the 9th. I'm sure there are a few of his teammates, maybe sitting around, ex-teammates, sitting around at Citi Field. Mets just losing to the Marlins 5-1. And probably a few of his old buddies had a chance to pop in the clubhouse, maybe in between innings, and check him out. You know, especially some of his buddies in the starting rotation. I understand he was very tight with both Noah Syndergaard and Jacob deGrom.
See, now you're delving into the sociology of a baseball clubhouse.
Yes.
Pitchers hang together, mainly starting pitchers, because they have the same lifestyle. You pitch one day, you rest 4 or 5. Relievers hang together. Occasionally you get guys that cross the line, you know, from pitching to hang out with the regular everyday players.
You don't see it a lot, though.
Not that much.
No.
I would imagine a football locker room's about the same. You probably have the wide receivers in one group, and you have the defensive backs in another.
You know, it's just so they're so. I mean, they're as different as the sports themselves, because you know, when you think about it, football teams only go on the road for 8 nights a year, and I mean 8 nights. Now you might add a night or 2 if you've got to travel across the country, something like that. I mean, the Reds, their next road trip, they'll spend more nights on the road than an NFL team will the whole year. There's a ground ball to short, and that will retire the side.
Tough to get those hotel points in the NFL, huh?
Real tough. Real tough. Reds are 3 outs away from an opening game win in this 3-game series. We'll play again tomorrow night. And then an afternoon game, the series finale. That'll be on Thursday before the Reds are gone for a long time. They're gone for a 11-day road trip. Once more headed out west for the 2nd straight trip. They went to Los Angeles and San Francisco on the last one. This one will cover the Mountain Time Zone twice and the Pacific Time Zone once, going to Colorado, Arizona, and Los Angeles. Although Arizona right now is technically in the, from just a straight time standpoint, that's a state that never changes time. So right now they are operating basically under the Pacific Time Zone hours. So they're 3 hours behind us all summer. Fastball in there, a strike to Jordy Mercer. That's going to be a weird series in Arizona too, man, because that's a here's a base hit into center field by Mercer. It's going to be great for the fans back here because of the 3-hour time difference, because the Reds are playing a day game on Memorial Day Monday. They're playing a night game the next night, but then the 3rd game is another day game. So it'll be a nice start time for the folks back here in Cincinnati to catch some afternoon action, and that's going to be all for Wandy Peralta. Or is it? Jim Riggleman, yep, that's all. A leadoff hit in the 9th inning with a 5-run lead, and they're going to bring in Jared Hughes.
When you finance through GM Financial.
Leadoff base hit by Mercer. Jose Ozuna, the announced pinch hitter, and now on the pitch, having a really, really good year, is Jared Hughes.
He pitched on Sunday, pitched an inning, did Hughes. Previous to that, he had 4 days off. So here he comes in, game number 23 for the big right-hander. Hughes is one of those pitchers that really benefited when the Major League Baseball changed the rules on how a pitcher can be in contact with the pitcher's rubber.
He's a ground ball machine, and he's just picked up a double play. The 2nd pitch he throws.
Just like that. Well, that's the one thing about being a sinker ball pitcher. With a runner on first base, you are just one pitch away from a potential rally killer. And he gets it right there in a 6-4-3 fashion. Nice play by Votto at the other end to hang on.
Josh Harrison could easily have 3 hits in this game. Instead, he's 1 for 4.
The point I was making about Hughes is that he is at the very first base side of that pitching rubber, just his toe in contact with the rubber. Whoa.
That was not a fastball. Or at least the radar gun said 85 miles an hour.
I think it wasn't. It was a breaking ball right there. It just slipped right out of his hand. You can see the spin on it. That's what I'm talking about right down here with Hughes and that, just a toe touch on that.
So what was the
rubber.
rule?
Well, the rule used to be that a pitcher's whole foot had to be in contact with the entire part of the rubber. But pitchers began to push it a little bit one side or another. Finally, umpires went to MLB and said, we can't enforce this because they're putting dirt over the rubber. We can't tell where the rubber begins and the dirt ends. So they just said, okay, anywhere on the rubber is okay.
But it seems smart. I mean, it seems smart that Major League Baseball made that decision.
Well, it does give a pitcher the advantage because you're going to see pitchers move to one side or the other depending on what their best pitch is.
Well, pitchers did not have the advantage last year with that baseball.
No.
There's a fly ball to right field. And that's the old ball game. This was a really good night all around for the Redlegs. They got excellent starting pitching from Matt Harvey, who gets his first win as a Cincinnati Red. 6 strong innings tonight from Harvey. Scooter Gennett knocks in 6 runs. And the Reds win it by a final count of 7-2. We'll be back with more from Great American Ballpark. Reds win tonight. 7-2 our final.